Well, hello there once more, my happy little ramblers, and welcome to Reese Rambles, the official podcast of Control-Alt-Reese, of course, with video available on YouTube on my second channel, which is now called Reese, for reasons that I still don't quite understand, but there we go. I decided to rebrand it. And, of course, on all of the usual podcast platforms. In fact, I actually had to log into Apple Music just this morning to agree to some new terms and conditions so you lot can continue listening on there. So I hope you appreciate the effort. I had to reset my password and everything because the password requirements on Apple accounts are a bit weird, and yeah, I couldn't remember the password. I had no idea. Had to reset it. It's a whole convoluted process, but we're here now. Hopefully still on Apple Music. Anyway, what am I going on about? Yes, so here we are, episode number 50. And you'd think that I would have got the intro patter and whatnot down by the 50th episode, but apparently not. Apparently that's something I do need to work on this year. But anyway, I will start, as always, with a bit of a preamble and a bit of an update on previous stories. Of course, we've been talking about bingo for the past few weeks, which was all sparked off by Meat Bingo. I did a bit of a fake joke apology last week. I think some people took that a bit seriously. But yeah, no, it was a joke. It was my terrible attempt at humour. Yeah, and also the beer thing that I ended on last week as well. I had a question as to whether that was sponsored content, and actually, watching it back, it does seem like a bit of a sponsorship thing. I was like, oh, everyone go out and buy this beer and let me know what you think. But unfortunately, not. I'm not sponsored by beer. As cool as that would be, and it would be nice if anyone out there wants to send me some free beer. I'm always happy to receive that. But sadly, not yet. I don't think I'll be doing sponsored content on the Rambles. To be honest, I just want to talk about stuff, just get stuff off my chest, and I don't know, give my opinions on things. I don't want to be distracted by talking about sponsorships and things. But hey, maybe if someone wants to send me alcohol, then I could sit here and I could drink it and I could review it live on Reese Rambles, and maybe that might be some interesting content for you all. Don't know. But anyway, we were talking about bingo, weren't we? And yes, talking about meat bingo specifically, and all of the other meat-related activities that people seem to partake in, like meat raffles and meat car boot sales and the rest of it. And I had some feedback, as I always do, and this is from a regular viewer / listener / commenter. So we'll go straight to that. Hardly Worgan 71, and thank you ever so much for this. And basically, it just says, look up cow bingo. And I did, and it was very amusing, so I'm going to share this with you. So cow bingo is essentially you paint a big grid on a patch of grass in a field, put numbers on the spray numbers in the squares, let a cow loose in there, and basically whatever number the cow poops on is the number that comes up. So that's cow bingo. Now, I'm a country boy myself. I was raised in rural England, and I don't think I was aware of this. It doesn't seem familiar, but yeah, why not? I mean, obviously, we've got the ducks at home. We've got our 3 Indian runner ducks. Perhaps we could have duck bingo. I mean, they do poop constantly, so you wouldn't be waiting too long. Usually on the patio, actually. So maybe I could draw some lines on the patio. Maybe I could do that for a future giveaway or something. Maybe on Reese Rambles or on Control-Alt-Reese. Don't know. Is that appropriate? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. But yeah, so we have a cow bingo. Thank you ever so much for that feedback. And unfortunately, not sponsored by beer. But yeah, that's the preamble done. Let's get straight into our first story for this week, which is all about me, because I'm great. So for my first story this week, and yeah, like I say, it's about me, and this should have been part of the preamble, really. I'm not quite sure why it didn't make it into that part of my notes, but obviously I've just recorded that, and I don't want to go back and record it again, so let's just make it a news story. Let's make me a headline news story, because that's what I deserve. Yeah. Anyway, I talked about this last week, and I think I talked about it the week before as well. So maybe I didn't. I can't remember the schedule. That was weeks ago. But I uploaded a video about the IBM PC 9821, and I'm going to talk a little bit about mistakes that I've made on the channel and corrections next week, in next week's Ramble, just before, because that'll be episode number 51, and then the one after that will be the last in kind of a whole year's streak. So I want to kind of use that one as maybe a bit of a retrospective. Is that the right word? I think that is the right word, actually. Wow, I am awake this morning. But yeah, so this video about the NEC, and I mentioned last week that I'd made a mistake in it and that I'd actually pinned a comment correcting that mistake. And that mistake was that obviously I'd kind of read somewhere that this was just a boring IBM compatible PC. And actually I'd had some corrections from people in the community, and people had told me that no, actually it isn't. It's a proper full-fledged PC 98. And they were also nice about it. Such nice people in the PC 98 community. Let's just switch to the video just for a bit more visual interest for those of you who are watching on YouTube. But yeah, this is the video. As you can see, I've changed the title now to try and make it a bit more clickbaity and attract some new viewers in. So apologies for that. But hey, I've got to make up the view count somehow. And yeah, I was here. It was one evening in the week, and I was here, and I was recording. I've been doing a bit of a supporter exclusive series on a small form factor RM Pentium 4 PC, and that I will be covering that PC on the main channel at some point once I've worked out what it is I'm actually doing with it. But I thought that the process of working out what to do with it, just going off on a big tangent here, but yeah, obviously when I prep for videos and stuff, obviously I had to test these machines and kind of work out what video am I going to make of this? What's the story here? And I thought, well, I may as well just record that process and just put it out there for my supporters and kind of just give them something back. Not locking stuff behind a paywall or anything silly like that, but it's all content that will make it into a bigger video eventually. But just show them a bit of kind of behind the scenes process, just in exchange for their support, because it is incredibly helpful for these various projects. But anyway, enough talking about that stuff. People don't like it when you talk about that stuff. This is my corrected version of my video. So I was here working on that RM video, and I fired up Resolve, which is the editing package that I use, DaVinci Resolve, and I thought I'll just see if I can edit out those two sort of very short passages where I talk about it being IBM compatible. Just see how it flows without them and how much work it would be to do it. And about half an hour later, it was done, and the video worked really well. It flowed really well. There was nothing, it wasn't really lacking in any way by missing that information. It was just correct now. And I hadn't really been called out on anything else in the video. All the story about the PC 88 and PC 98 was all correct. As far as I know, like I say, I've not really had any corrections on those. It was literally just this one fact that I'd picked up from somewhere and it just stuck in my head, and I decided to kind of make a thing about in the video. So I re-rendered it, and I sat and watched it again, and I thought, this works. And this is a topic that's not really been covered in a great deal of detail on YouTube, these sort of PC 98 machines. So I thought, it's going to be an evergreen video. People are going to be watching this for years to come. I kind of, I'm going to be called out in future on this wrong piece of information. Even though I pin a comment, people don't read the pinned comments. They want to prove a point. They want to prove how clever they are. So, people are going to correct me about this. And also, I don't want people, I want people to see my channel as kind of a reputable source of information. I don't want to put stuff out there that's wrong. So I thought, well, sod it. The 8,000 plus views, and that video was actually doing really well. It was my most successful video in quite a long time. And of course, a lot of people aren't going to go back and rewatch the same video again. But I thought, no, I owe it to my viewers, and I owe it to the PC 98 community to make it right. So I took it down, I re-uploaded the new version, and I also, as I was here working on something else, I did some testing with the PC 98. Just to confirm once and for all, tried to boot some DOS disks on it and tried to write some PC 98 floppies and did some more digging, and yeah, confirmed it was all true. So as I had everything set up to record a video anyway, I thought I'll do a correction, a short correction video just while this new one goes up. I'll do the correction video, just explaining why I've changed it and what I've changed, and then I can unlist that after the first sort of 24 hours or so, just to sort of save any confusion. And I'm actually really glad I did this, because I've had some really nice feedback from this. People saying that, this is why we like your channel. You're not afraid to admit your mistakes and all of that. And I wasn't looking for sort of praise or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to explain myself a bit. And like I say, that's been unlisted now after 2,700 views. So I guess you title a video, I made a mistake. I guess people are going to want to know what it is. So a bit clickbaity, but that wasn't monetized, didn't make any money from that video. And like I say, it's unlisted now. So I also don't get the views for that. But it's important, it's important to be accurate and to be correct when you're doing what I do. I think so anyway. So that was that. I've had some more PC98 people get in touch with some more information about the machine and some more software and games and things to try out. So I've got absolutely loads of stuff. I've got this huge document just full of PC98 stuff, and of course I've got to remember to credit everyone who's sent me stuff. And yeah, it's shaping up to be a really awesome project, and it's hopefully going to be one of those kind of like channel defining projects in 2024 for my channel. So well worth the effort, I think. This one's picked up 4,100 views in the 5 days that it's been up, this corrected version, which is good. It's good. I'm quite happy with that. Not quite as nice as the 8,000 or so that the original got, but hey, it's better than nothing, isn't it? And like I say, it's a video that's going to be around forever, so it needs to be right. So that's that. I spent far too much time talking about this, so let's move on to the next topic. A few weeks ago, I talked about the Nintendo Wii, which is a bit odd considering I'm into these retro computing and sort of 80s and 90s things and all of that stuff, as are many of my viewers and listeners. And, is the Wii retro? I don't know, but I'm going to talk about it again because it's a console that's quite dear to my heart, because I actually had one when I was in college. And when did it come out? It was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago now, probably getting on for 20 years ago. So I think that's justified. Not that I need to justify it, but anyway. There's been some interesting news in the world of the Wii that I was going to talk about last week. And actually, I'm kind of glad that I left it to this week, because there's been a really weird development. It's quite an interesting story. So I'm going to frame this as my 3DS purchase. So just bear with me while we go off on a tangent. This is why this is called Reese Rambles, because I do like to ramble. So quite a while back now, I bought a 3DS, Nintendo 3DS on Buy, on one of the Japanese auction services. # not sponsored. And I bought this 3DS and I knew nothing about them. I had a DS back in the day. I had an original Game Boy, and then I had a Game Boy Advance, and I had a Game Boy Micro. I had a DS Lite. So Nintendo handhelds, and we've got a Switch now. It's my wife's got a Switch now. So Nintendo handhelds have always been a kind of a thing in our household. And the 3DS kind of passed me by at the time, because I thought, the 3D thing's kind of a bit gimmicky and a bit rubbish, and it doesn't really offer much over and above the DS that I've already got. So I won't bother with it. And it's quite a bit bigger and bulky and whatever else. And I saw one that was finishing it very, very, very soon on one of the Japanese auction sites when I was just browsing stuff, and I stuck in a low bid and I won it. And when it arrived, it was in the box and it's in kind of immaculate condition. And I thought, well, I could probably cover this on the channel at some point in the future. So absolutely not a huge waste of money. At least that's what I tell myself when I buy these things. And I got looking into the Nintendo eShop and stuff, and it was around the time that Nintendo actually shut that down. And I discovered that someone had created something called H-Shop. And it's a replacement for the eShop on the Nintendo 3DS. Of course, this is... piracy. Is it piracy when it's stuff that Nintendo have deliberately not, taken offline? Because you can't go onto the official eShop and actually buy games anymore. But this is someone who's basically dumped the whole thing and dumped all of the original games and things and put them together and put an app together that you can install on your 3DS. And then you can browse it as if it was the original shop, and you can download the games and install them. So it's a really quite impressive preservation effort, really. I don't want to get too much into the whole discussion about preservation and piracy, but I do think that if a platform owner decides to take something down and say, no, we're not allowing you to buy this anymore, I think it is quite important for preservation for that stuff to be sort of available somehow via another channel. I think it's fair to say. Whether this is the right way or the wrong way, I don't know. That's a whole debate. But the reason I'm talking about this is because someone has actually come up with a very similar offering for the Wii. Of course, the Wii Shop on the Nintendo Wii, quite an infamous thing. You could go on there and you could buy all these games and things. And there have been ways to sort of side load them. My Wii, I did soft mod it quite a few years ago once Nintendo took all of this stuff down, and I did install some of my old games and stuff, which was cool. Going back and checking those out. But basically someone's created a complete recreation of the Wii Shop called ReShop, which obviously is a great name, although it's R-I-I, should have been R-E-E. ReShop, and you can go on there. It doesn't cost any real money. You can buy points, but it doesn't charge your credit card or anything like that. You just top up with points, and then you can go on and you buy these games as if it was the original Wii Shop from back in the day. And you're going to say, well, Reese, this is great news. It's fantastic that this service is available, and I can go on there and I can get all of these, I can get all of these old games and things that haven't been available for years. And yeah, so it entered public beta a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure what the exact date was. I think it was just over a week ago. This is from January the 16th, so 10 days ago, as at the time of recording. And there's been a massive drama, and I thought this was all quite weird because I was actually going to install this. I was going to dig my way out and try this, and maybe even do like an HDMI mod and stuff on it. Maybe do it as a video because my Xbox video and my N64 video have done quite well. So hey, I'm always kind of looking at potential projects. And this is I first spotted this over on Twitter, but there is a post about this on Reddit, and the guy that made this was 14 years. I was kind of struggling to kind of get my head around the whole story, but the guy that made it was like 14 years old, and he's had some kind of beef with some other guy, and basically a load of people's personal information has been leaked. People like signed up with all their personal details and stuff, and that's all just been like released and thrown out there. And the whole thing got shut down. So yeah, 10 days ago it was launched into a public beta, and then it says here 4 days ago it's been shut down. So yeah, there's like these two like dueling like Wii hacking development homebrew groups that are kind of at war with each other, and they're teenagers, and there's been all this like Discord drama and stuff, and it's like it's incredible to see. Like I say, I'm kind of struggling to wrap my head around it. But anyway, that's kind of the story. There was ReShop, which was a closed source re-implementation of the Wii Shop, which I guess is kind of a bit of a red flag anyway, because it was, public beta access was all controlled through their Discord, and you had to kind of sign up to this private Discord to be able to sign up for it and the rest of it. It launched. A load of people's personal information got leaked somehow. I'm not joining the Discord to find out, and then it got shut down. So that's all happened in the past 10 days. Well, in less than a week, in fact. So yeah, interesting project, but an interesting debate about preservation and piracy and stuff coming up again, I think. And I think I'm for these kind of things, but I think maybe they should be open source, and I think having one person have it as a pet project and sort of remain in control of the whole thing is perhaps even worse than having a company like Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo kind of managing the whole thing. But there we go. That is the tale of the ReShop and its very short-lived existence. Don't know what else I can say on that, really. Just thought it was interesting. So from something that's arguably not very retro to something that is very retro, or at least I would hope that most of my listeners would agree on this, and that is the Mega Drive / Genesis, made by Sega or Sega. Has there ever been a console with such a convoluted naming stuff going on? I don't know. But I had a Mega Drive back in the day. I loved it, and played Sonic the Hedgehog quite a lot, as many Mega Drive owners will have done, and it's still one of my favourite games to this day. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche. It's a bit overdone and a bit sort of, I suppose, not quite as much as Mario, but it's a great game. The original Sonic is a great game, and yeah, of course, it's led to many sequels. Sega still releasing sequels to Sonic even to this day, and remakes and everything else, and they're all very much appreciated. And this is basically a hack that someone has made, or a kind of a new version of the original Sonic. And the interesting twist here is that this one is 2-player. Now you might say, but Reese, Sonic 2-player Sonic, that's not very exciting. Obviously there was Sonic 2 with Tails, and then there was Sonic and Knuckles, and the modern Sonic games are kind of multiplayer as well. So 2-player Sonic, why is this newsworthy? Tell me, Reese, tell me right now. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this this game uses the light gun for the second player. So the developer, Shane Lynch, this is a kind of a homebrew hack version that he's been working on. He used the Mister to develop this, that wonderful FPGA platform that allows you to run all sorts of different retro computers and consoles. And this is shown working on a real CRT, on a real Mega Drive, using an EverDrive cartridge to run it, of course. And the way that this game works is that basically player 1 sits there with the pad controlling Sonic, running around and jumping and all that lovely Sonic 1 stuff. And player 2 is sat next to them with the light gun shooting stuff on screen, shooting the rings, shooting the badniks, the bad guys, as Shane quite accurately refers to them here. And yeah, it's a very short, it's just a 25-second video, just kind of looping here. Not really much to see, really, other than Sonic wandering around and a hand in shot holding a light gun, shooting random objects on screen. And I thought it was such a cool concept, There aren't... I'm just trying to think, were there many games where they were kind of 2-player with one person controlling something and another person using a light gun to shoot stuff? The only one that kind of comes to mind immediately is Starsky and Hutch on the original Xbox. And I remember having that. I actually worked at like a big electronics retailer at the time. And we had the demo kiosk set up, and we had the controller and the light gun and everything, and actually had 2-player games, 2-player games of that. I think the staff played it more than anyone else. And yeah, it's one person actually steered the car, and then there were like targets and things that appeared at the side of the road, and the second player had to sort of shoot at them with the light gun. It was really fun. And yeah, this is kind of a Mega Drive equivalent of that, with player 1 controlling the main character and player 2 just sort of helping them out by shooting stuff for them. Maybe there are more games like that. Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. I'd be quite interested to check those out, actually. Just as a complete aside, but yeah, no news on whether or even if at all this is this is going to be released, or when, or whatever, how far along it is in development. Obviously, we've only seen a very, very short section of Green Hill Zone Act 1, the first level, but it looks cool. It looks fun. So, hey, sometimes that's all you need. Of course, this wouldn't be Reese Rambles without an Atari story, and here it is, the Atari story. You'd think with all of the free publicity I've been giving them, on this channel and on my main channel, that they'd sponsor me, or at least send me something for free. Atari, if you're listening, send me something, and then I'll continue to sing your praises. Although I must say, I do have a video coming out in the near future that is quite critical of one of their products, a current product as well. So keep an eye out for that, because that's quite interesting. Did not have a good experience with that at all. But yeah, I don't want to spoil it before it's out. We'll talk about that in a future episode. So hey, maybe they'll see that and they won't be sending me any free stuff, and I'll actually be on their naughty list. But who cares? I'm not doing this for them, and I'm not doing this for anyone else. I'm doing this for me. Anyway, Ramble. What a ramble. So yes, Atari. Of course, they were first founded in 1971 or whenever it was, under the name Syzygy Engineering, released the computer space cabinet, which I actually got to see one at the Pinball Hall of Fame in Las Vegas and have a poke around that, although it wasn't working, unfortunately, but still quite cool to be in the presence of one. And that was, of course, based on Space War, which was a game that was doing the rounds on like PDP-11 mainframes and stuff. Quite a well-known story. And then in 1972, they released Pong, and they rebranded the company Atari. Atari, of course, being there's the Japanese game of Go, which it gets compared to chess, although it's completely different. But yeah, there's a situation that's like a checkmate situation. An Atari is what you say to your competitor when you kind of you've beaten them and put them in this unbeatable situation. I think that's my understanding of it anyway. Not that that's relevant to this story at all, but hey, we've got to pad out the time somehow. So Why am I talking about Atari, and why specifically am I talking about 1972? Well, the reason is because back in 2022, it was their 50th anniversary, and they released the 50th anniversary collection, or Atari 50, as I call it, the anniversary celebration. Loads of really cool stuff on here, loads of documentary footage, interview footage, scans of old historical documents and adverts and all that cool stuff. Really, really good collection of stuff here. A really good historical resource made by Digital Eclipse, of course, who have since been acquired by Atari and are now actually part of that company. And it's a good thing if you haven't checked it out. It's available on loads of different platforms. I'm not quite sure why I'm advertising for them again. But there we go. It's all in the name of news. And I do talk about that a bit, quite a bit actually, in my video that's coming out this week. So keep an eye out for that. But why am I talking about the Atari 50th whatever it is again? The reason I'm talking about this again is because this week they've announced that they're releasing the soundtrack on vinyl. Because of course it's the early 21st century and everything has to have a soundtrack release on vinyl. And I do say that kind of sarcastically, but I do actually own quite a few game soundtracks on vinyl, so I don't suppose I'm really in a position to comment on that. But this is credited to Bob Baffy, who composed all of the music for their new games and for the menu and everything else. Really, really good soundtrack, actually, I have to say. The 50th anniversary collection is something that I fire up fairly regularly just to play stuff like Neo Breakout and Vector Sector, or VCTR, SCTR, whatever they called it. Really good games, and of course you've got all those old historical games. I was playing Tempest 2000 on the because you've got this huge collection of like emulated games on there as well, and it's the first time they've officially released any kind of Jaguar stuff. So I was actually playing Tempest 2000 again the other night, just had a few minutes free, and I thought I'd fire that up. And it was easier to fire up the living room PC than it was to fire up the Jag. So I played that for a bit. And the soundtrack to this thing's really cool. It's got this really cool kind of ambient music, but this kind of mellow house kind of. I'm sure there's probably some kind of music snobs out there that are going to correct me on that, but yeah, it's being produced under the name Microids Records, the Atari 50 official soundtrack anniversary edition. It's on gold vinyl. This looks really cool. I quite like the shiny gold record that you get, and it's got the really nice sort of white and gold on black Atari 50 branding. It's $45. And it's available for pre-order right now, and it ships by the 19th of April this year. It's just the one disc, double-sided, and you've got 14 tracks on there. And yeah, we've got the music from Quadratank, Yar's Revenge, Neo Breakout, as I mentioned, really cool sort of banging ambient house kind of soundtrack. Vector Sector, that's got a really cool soundtrack as well, and Haunted House, which are kind of the free remakes that are on there. Or at least the ones that I play. So a cool thing. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to order this. Obviously, like I say, I do kind of have a few game soundtracks. Not that I really listen to them, and I do collect Atari stuff. So it seems like a bit of a no-brainer. But it's one of those things I'll order, and then it'll eventually arrive, and I'll kind of look at it and say, well, why did I order this, and stick it in the rack with the rest of all my weird novelty records. But yeah, it's a thing. It looks quite nice. Looks all right. Well presented. Obviously, not quite sure how it's going to work as a record, but you never know. But anyway, that's the Atari 50 official soundtrack on vinyl, coming out on the 19th of April, and yeah, you can pre-order it now. So I notice I'm up to an hour's worth of recording now. Not a good morning for recording. Evidently, I'm not as awake as I thought I was. Stumbled over my words a few times and had to re-record a couple of sections. And now I've got to go try and pick it all out and edit this into something coherent. So I'm going to go and do that now. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. Of course, last weekend in January, we're now into February. The nights are getting lighter and it's getting a bit warmer, at least here in the UK. Well, it has been very windy this week. So, things are looking up. Things are looking up for 2024. Thank you ever so much for joining me once more. Hope you enjoyed this ramble. And, I shall see you again same time next week. I've got a second channel video coming out on this channel, Reese, which used to be called Reese Rambles, but now it's just called Reese for reasons. And I've also got a main channel video coming out for you. So, loads of productive stuff. And hopefully, I'll get something recorded today for my supporters as well, another kind of behind-the-scenes thing. looking at that RM machine. But like I say, this took a lot longer than expected, and we'll have to see how the time goes. But that's that. Very busy boy, and I will be talking about that and my kind of release schedule for this year in a couple of episodes' time. So look forward to that, and I will see you next week. Bye.